Alrighty, addicts, welcome back to the channel. We're here for Danmachi Season 4, Episode 6, continuing our discussion and reviews of the episodes at hand. Everybody better be thankful because I took a break from reading Volume 17 just to do this video, which honestly was probably for my own benefit as well. There's some stuff going down in Volume 17, so kind of needed a moment for having some levity, which I was actually kind of surprised about because I thought I was misremembering some stuff of where certain scenes were in terms of the timeline. So I thought we were going to get a little bit farther into the next, I guess what we'd call it, the next big step of the arc in this episode. But we actually took a moment to really appreciate the happiness of just the expedition going not as they planned, but better than what they thought it might be. So yeah, we get basically the whole episode set in Riveria, something like that. I always get it mixed up between the dungeon town's name and the one elf chick in Loki Familia. I don't know why. They have similar sounding names to me, or at least in the book I think it's similarly spelled, but that's not important. What is important is you do get the expedition party kind of recouping, getting more supplies, getting rest up, getting healed up. There is a nice little, what would you call it? Kind of like Belle going through all of the different people, meeting up with them, seeing how they're doing the following day, and then Lily kind of stalking him around, waiting for her moment to get to spend time alone with Belle. And it's just a really cute, really fun episode. I think the biggest thing is just, I would say there's moments in the series where we have these pop up, like for instance, like Volume 8 is a good example. Volume 15 is another pretty good example of just a lot of moments of the book where you get to focus on the Familia and just them, not as adventurers, but just as people living in this world and their bonds growing closer together. And I think that's something that, honestly, to me, it's one of the biggest aspects that I love about Danmachi. It's probably the center or the heart of the story. So I really actually appreciate these moments when we get to spend more time focusing on that for the show. So yeah, I would say out of all of the episodes this season, this is one that is definitely higher ranked in my opinion. But like I said, you do get several moments here. You get... what is it? Oh yes, you get the Donatus, which is the the naming ceremony, which gives out the adventurers' aliases when they rank up. This was something that, again, like I remembered it in the book, but I just forgot exactly where the placement of it was. I knew it wasn't before 12, for some reason that's where I was thinking it lined up at. But you get to see that whole thing play down. You get the iconic moment with Freya, giving out her suggestion for Belle's name, and then the other goddesses following suit and getting just more and more drastic in the possible name suggestions, and the iconic blowing up of Hestia, of course, because she's very protective. Oh, that's really fun. I was actually glad that they put it in this part of the season because, again, we're going to be spending a lot of time in the dungeon in the next several episodes, so the little bit that we can see of Hestia, even if she's not interacting with the Familia or the other characters, I do really like having that in there to see Hestia just at least sprinkling throughout the season instead of just like one or two moments in the early part of the season. But you also have some smaller things in that scene as well. I think when they give Welf's new alias as well, there's like a small little part, but you can see like Hestia being like totally fine with it, but like Hephaestus, or however you say her name, Welf's old goddess, kind of has a shudder off screen, and you can't really tell if it's a good... I'm pretty sure it's like oh man, that's like a cringing shudder, which I love that little bit there. It's a nice touch. But you also get, let's see here, the multiple talks that Belle has with other groups from the expedition. So like you get the first one where it's like Luvis and Dormal, however you want to say that, the part of the adventures that they saved from the Moss Huge, and it's just a nice little scene of appreciation that they give to the Hestia Familia, but also I think it's just a nice little moment to highlight that, you know, not every adventurer is coming out unscathed. There's definite consequences to being an adventurer, and I liked it in the book because I think, you know, in a lot of these stories, they don't really make it a focus, or they don't really necessarily have it at all, seeing the other side of the world. Like, you know, it's not, an adventurer is like a high risk, high reward type profession. Like, you get a lot of fame and fortune if you're doing all right, but I mean, chances are you're gonna die. So, and you're lucky if you're able to, you know, get out, you know, unscathed. So I did really appreciate that moment. Even if they don't spend that much time on it, I think it's nice to have. You also do have Bell going to see the other people that he's promised to talk to before he gets his talk with Lily. One of those being Chigusa and Oka, which I know I've beaten this joke into the ground way too much in the other videos, but it's like, damn, okay, you have nothing to feel sorry for. Chigusa's just being like a dead weight, essentially. I mean, that's what she was for like 4 episodes. But I do love Bell's, pulling them together, you know, really showing that his colors as a person hasn't changed, right? He still values everybody, even if they're not in his familia, and it's all about, you know, working together to survive. You know, it's like you cover my back, I'll cover your back, and I just think it's a really nice thing that you know, Lily ties up really well towards the end of the episode as well. But I do love too how, like, I remember it being in the book, but you know, when you see it played out, there's like more things that you're thinking about as it's going on. But it's just like Lily was, maybe it's just the way they animated too, but like, you know, Lily's with Belle when she's leaving, you know, talking to Luvis and the other guy, and then Belle seemingly splits off to go talk to Chigusa and Oka. And it's like, I'm pretty sure Belle would have been okay with just like Lily tagging along, but she's like, oh no, you go do that thing, but I'll like still watch you from the bushes like a complete psycho stalker. So that's great. But yeah, there's a lot of like little moments that Lily has while she's like kind of snooping or like you know, tailing Belle. There's another great one in the next scene where you know, Cassandra and Daphne take Belle to get a good deal, and you know, obviously Lily loves Belle, has kind of a crush on him, obviously reasons. But you know, she's upset that they're like using him essentially for something like that. But at the same time, you know, just the Lily being like, you know, what would you call her, like the treasurer of the Familia, also doesn't like the fact that, you know, they're not able to cash on a good deal for the Familia, and it's kind of wasted on just Daphne and Cassandra. So I think that's great. There's a little moment in this scene that they pop up Cassandra's foresight thing, which this scene, it was like directly ripped from the book. So I'm not saying like I don't think it shouldn't be there or that it was misrepresented, because I think it was pretty much how it went down in the book. And I like it in that because, and it's staying true to like Daphne and Cassandra's, what do you call it? Like, not dynamic, but more of like a back and forth on this subject, where, you know, Daphne always just shrugs off Cassandra's clairvoyance and doesn't believe her, you know, thinks she's just like either lying or crazy or just whatever, you know. But in this scene, because of the lack of focus on it, I don't know, it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Again, like, I don't hate it, and I think it worked really good in the book, given how they used Cassandra at the beginning part of the material we've seen for the season. But that was the one thing I was just like, they could have just left it. But, you know, it's really like not anything to really write home about. It's just one of those things that I noticed, and I was just like, like, you know, we'll see how they go at it going forward. I would be really shocked if they even bring it up again, but I have a feeling they're going to before one of the next big fights we're going to see. But you also, let's see here. Oh, yes. So there's also the tavern setup back up at the surface with the waitresses of the Hostess of Fertility, which is another thing I really liked. It's I think it was placed at just the right part. It was kind of like not at the halfway point of the episode, but maybe like a third into the episode. Really nice to get that before the cliffhanger, because the cliffhanger was actually something I thought was a great done. I'm saying it like twice, but executed very well. And I think it was elevated by the addition of this little scene at the beginning part. It's really hard to sometimes find the perfect place to put that in there, when it's only one scene and it's completely remote from, everything else. But I liked it, and I think it was great to have it in this episode, because in the other previous episodes, when we were focused on the Moss Huge and everything, I think it would have been a little misplaced. So here, I think it's perfect, but still letting it have kind of a slower build, so we're not feeling too rushed into that right off the gate. The only other thing I guess I'll mention real quickly is the whole scene with Seer. It's not like a big highlight, just because of where I'm at in like book headspace. It's like, it's kind of cool watching this with a different lens. Kind of same thing with the Donatus, not to go, backtrack too much, but there's a great shot, of Freya and Hestia kind of like facing off essentially when they're doing their discussion. And I can't help but, just think it mirrors volume 17 really well right now. So that was just cool as like since they're releasing the same time as the book. But, let's see here. You do have the two other small things. I guess I'll just mention real quick, because they're not, they're a good part of the episode, but we don't need to rehash everything that happens, right? But, we do get the meetup with Makoto and Harahime. And I just wanted to say, really did dig Makoto being like the number one wing woman to her childhood friend, trying to help Harahime out on getting Belle to fall for her, which, is a harder feat to accomplish. They're going to have a lot of steps to, make that work, especially since Belle still has his eyes heavily on Eyes. Did I say? It's kind of a tongue twister whenever you say her name and Eyes in the same sentence, but you get what I'm saying. But still, though, you got to give her props for trying. The other thing, too, this is the last intermission, which I always do love that whenever they shoehorn, or not shoehorn, but like whenever they execute this at just the right moment with Welf and Lily, which, because, Lily's following Belle around, getting interrupted, getting her time with Belle postponed again and again. And it's, it's just at the moment where she's about to have the last straw, and then Welf shows up, which I always think, again, like, even though she doesn't make a direct comment of it, I always love that they give, sometimes the final thing that sets Lily off whenever Welf's in the scene, because I don't know, it just fits their dynamic really well in their track record. So I think it's just a part, like a staple of the relationship that those two characters have. But then you get to in-cap the episode really well with Lily and Belle. And again, I don't need to rehash this, but I think she kind of summarized everything really well towards the tail end, and just the appreciation that she has for Belle, and not being one to change just because he got stronger. So this is definitely going to propel us forward into the next part of the season with the Gale Wind murder. And oof, man, this was a part of the book that was really exciting, because Leah was one that, was always shrouded a little bit of mystery. You had an idea of what her backstory was, definitely with her telling Belle when they first went to the river town, or the dungeon town, but just enough like blanks in her backstory to be like, well, did she actually do this? I mean, she wouldn't seem like a character to do this, but I don't know, so that was something that I think I'm really looking forward to in the next episode. I think the only thing going forward that I'm really kind of questioning at this point is where we're going to stop, because as far as I know, whenever I've looked, we're still only having 12 episodes for this season. So realistically, I don't think we'll get done with the arc concerning Liu by the end of this season if we're sticking with 12 episodes. But that's at least, going off of, not wanting it rushed. I think it's probably possible if they take the approach that some of the earlier seasons had, they could definitely, cut out some stuff. But personally, I would like it if they've, keep the track record that they've had at the beginning of this season. And to be honest, I'm perfectly fine if they do that. I know it would be a little bit of a wait for people, but you got to keep in mind too that the source material is not super far ahead of the anime series at this point. So really, if we didn't stretch out this material, we probably would wait a long time for season 5, which, to be fair, I've never really thought that we would ever catch up to the light novels, at least not at this rate, this soon, because a lot of the source material was long enough. I feel like we could have had easily 24 episode seasons and, taken our time a little bit more. But, we're here where we're at. The show is still really good. I think it's been a lot better this season, so I'm, definitely hoping that it keeps up its track record. And yeah, I guess with that being said, Addicts, I won't make this too long. It wasn't a super propelling episode, but I think it was still a very enjoyable episode. Definitely one that I might actually go back and rewatch just whenever I'm having the hankering to see these characters again, because again, like I said, it's just really fun to see all of them interacting, not just doing their adventurous stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up, otherwise we're gonna drag this out. So I will see you guys for the next episode review. I know we're still behind, but we're gonna catch up here. But yeah, stay tuned. I might do a short news update type thing to talk about the scheduling for stuff, but I'm gonna go read book 17. So wish me luck, guys, and as always, take it easy, and peace, Addicts.